Welcome. I'm Doug Morgan, and you're listening to Uncommon Sense, where we hunt for the truth in the topics you're not supposed to talk about, Christianity and politics. And welcome back to FOMO Friday. Yes, here on the podcast every Friday, we bring you the stories of the week so that you don't have that fear of missing out. We love to bring you these stories because you're not listening to propaganda media anymore, are you? And you want to know what's going on around the world and around your community. So we bring in the stories that you should know a little bit about. And of course, hitting the airwaves, the print was the Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State and First Lady, and she was depositioned in a hearing about Jeffrey Epstein this week. And there was a little bit of some, well, I guess you could call it confusion that went on with it. From a series of articles in the Daily Wire comes this. Former First Lady and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, her Jeffrey Epstein deposition briefly went off the record after Republican Representative Lauren Boebert was accused of violating House rules by sharing a photo of Clinton from the closed-door hearing. Now, conservative commentator Benny Johnson posted a photo of Clinton at the hearing, crediting Boebert for sending him the image. A Clinton advisor then told reporters outside the building that they were attempting to, quote, figure out where the photo came from and why possibly members of Congress are violating House rules. And this is what Politico reported. Now, Boebert responded after the hearing was briefly derailed and said that the deposition was again proceeding. Benny did nothing wrong, she wrote on X. Clinton is at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center in New York to answer questions under oath on the Epstein investigation before House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. And this happened yesterday. Now, Comer and a group of House Republicans are attending the private hearing, as are a small group of Democrats, and a video and transcription of Clinton's hearing will be released to the public after it concludes. Now, Comer spoke to reporters briefly before going into the building for the Clinton's deposition and said the video and transcription will become available as soon as everyone has approved it. This is going to be a long video because this is going to be a long deposition. After the 4 hour of questioning, some Republicans go outside to provide an update, is what Comer said. And Clinton, along with her husband, former President Bill Clinton, of course, fought for months to avoid their depositions after the Oversight Committee subpoenaed them last August, arguing that they could share their limited knowledge of Epstein through written statements to the committee. The Clintons' lawyer engaged in a long back-and-forth battle with Comer, and the couple skipped their scheduled deposition in January. We covered that here on the podcast. And that, of course, sparked contempt of Congress proceedings. But after Republicans and some Democrats voted to recommend contempt charges, the Clintons finally agreed earlier this month to answer questions on Epstein under oath. Quote, finally, we're going to have to sit and answer questions under oath to Congress about their knowledge and involvement with the Epstein criminal activity, as well as with Ghislaine Maxwell, who was the primary conspirator, the one who was responsible more than anyone for luring girls into Jeffrey Epstein's world. And this is what Comer said on Thursday morning. Now, Comer also hinted at an important question that Clinton will face during the deposition, saying, quote, one of the questions that we all have in both parties is how was Jeffrey Epstein able to surround himself with the most powerful people in the world? If you saw Hillary Clinton's interview a few days ago, she acted like they barely knew Epstein and Maxwell. Well, that's funny, because Epstein was in the White House 16 times while Bill Clinton was president. And then Bill Clinton flew on his plane 27 times post-presidency, as well as Ghislaine Maxwell had a front row seat at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Yeah, Clinton posted her opening statement to the Committee on Social Media, and in the statement, Clinton accused the Republican-led Oversight Committee of conducting an investigation defined bipartisan political theater. She also blasted Republicans for focusing on her deposition, while no GOP members showed up for the testimony of former Victoria's Secret CEO and Epstein business partner Les Wexner last week. This institutional failure, this is what Clinton said. She says, this institutional failure is designed to protect one political party and one public official rather than to seek truth and justice for the victims and survivors, as well as the public who also want to get to the bottom of this matter. The former Secretary of State and 2016 Democratic presidential nominee said last week that she doesn't recall ever meeting Epstein. I'm going to repeat that. She said that she doesn't recall ever meeting Epstein, adding that she spoke with Maxwell on a few occasions. Well, yeah, at the wedding, at least. Clinton said the Oversight Committee's decision to subpoena her and her husband takes away from what should be the focus of the Epstein investigation. Okay. Well, the Republican member of Congress who is running this hearing or this investigation is trying to protect the president, Clinton said. And President Donald Trump, like former President Clinton, used to be a friend of Epstein's and was pictured multiple times with Epstein at events before the financier pleaded guilty to procuring a child for prostitution in 2008. Trump has not been accused of any wrongdoing related to the Epstein sex crimes, and Representative Robert Garcia of California, the ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, told reporters that Democrats from day one have said we want to talk to anyone, any person with information about Jeffrey Epstein, about his crimes, about how he was able to get so much wealth. I think that's the big one. How was he able to get so much wealth? They said that we will talk to any single person, whether that's a Democrat or a Republican. Before he walked into the building for Clinton's deposition, Garcia added that it is important to note that there is no evidence of the former Secretary of State having any interactions with Epstein. He then blasted Republicans and the Trump administration, accusing the White House of covering up information related to the Epstein investigation. And Trump and his administration have faced criticism over their handling of the Epstein case and the release of the Epstein files. Now, after Congress passed legislation, which was signed by Trump, by the way, forcing the release of Epstein-related documents, the Justice Department began releasing a ton, I mean, like millions of pages of documents and emails and photos, which shed more light on Epstein's numerous relationships with powerful people. Included in the DOJ Epstein file dump were multiple pictures of former President Clinton, one of which shows him in a pool with Maxwell and a woman whose face was redacted. Another photo in the file shows the former president in a hot tub with a woman whose face, again, redacted. The Justice Department has stated that it redacted faces of minors, alleged victims, and some government officials, but the Trump administration was criticized after some photos released to the public showed the faces of potential victims. Other materials that were not properly redacted contained nude photos, names, addresses, things like that. Some Justice Department quickly removed thousands of documents following what it called a technical or human error. Neither of the Clintons has been accused of any wrongdoing related to the Epstein sex crimes, but Republicans and some Democrats say they want answers about the former president and first lady's relationship with the late convicted sex offender. Former President Clinton was a friend of Epstein's in the early 2000s, traveling with the financier numerous times on Epstein's plane, which was used for sex trafficking. And the former president was also seen in a picture getting a back massage from Shante Davies, one of Epstein's accusers. Now, Davies was not accused, has not accused Clinton of acting inappropriately, though. Just for clarity, Bill Clinton is set to testify before the Oversight Committee today. So the dominoes are beginning to fall, obviously. We see a number of resignations and things that are happening now. Larry Summers, who is a former president at Harvard University, who served in the Clinton and the Obama administrations, resigned from his academic appointments at the Ivy League school on Wednesday. The resignation comes after the recent release of the Epstein-related documents revealed Summers' extensive correspondence with the convicted sex offender, which lasted from 2013 until just 4 months before Epstein's arrest on federal charges. Summers also relinquished his Harvard University professorship, which is the highest faculty honor at the school. And this is what the Harvard Crimson reported. Also, the World Economic Forum, yes, the WEF, their president, Brené, said Thursday that he will step down from the organization, citing distractions stemming from his past ties to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. So we're seeing just a number of dominoes beginning to fall now. I know a lot of people were, just hammering to try to get these files to be released. Now they've been released. There's a lot of Democrats that are having to step down now because of what's been released. Well, the other thing that happened this week that was of pretty big note, and that was that Donald Trump gave his State of the Union address, and well, it went pretty well for Trump, and he did some really cool things, I think. President Donald Trump presented 6 of the nation's highest honors during his State of the Union address on Tuesday, recognizing acts of military heroism and athletic excellence. Trump gave the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military award, to Army Chief Warrant Officer Eric Slover. He is a helicopter pilot wounded during the successful raid that captured Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. Now, Slover was struck 4 times by enemy fire while preparing to land his Chinook helicopter at Maduro's compound. Quote, Eric steered the Chinook under the cover of night and he descended swiftly upon Maduro's heavily protected military fortress. This was a major military installation protected by thousands of soldiers. This is what Trump said during his speech. And while preparing to land, enemy machine gun fired from every angle, and Eric was hit very badly in the leg and hip, one bullet after another. He absorbed 4 agonizing shots, shredding his leg in numerous places. Trump also awarded the Medal of Honor to 100-year-old naval aviator Royce Williams. Yeah, he's 100 years old. He fought in World War II, the Korean War, and Vietnam. Find more than, get this, combat missions. Quote, in 1952, Royce was in the dogfight of a lifetime. This is what Trump said of the encounter during the Korean War. Flying through blizzard conditions, his squadron was ambushed by 7 Soviet fighter planes. It was his first aerial combat of the war, and despite being massively outnumbered and outgunned, Royce led the takedown of 4 enemy jets and almost destroyed the others, vanquishing his adversaries while taking 263 bullets. Yeah, taking 263 bullets to his own plane and being seriously hurt. His story was secret. It was kept secret for over 50 years. He didn't even want to tell his wife. But the legend grew, and Trump awarded the Purple Heart he awarded the the award to him, the Medal of Honor to him for that. Trump awarded the Purple Heart to Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. Andrew Wolf is a National Guardsman who was seriously wounded in a shooting attack in Washington, D.C. before Thanksgiving. He also presented the Purple Heart to the family of Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, a National Guard soldier who was killed in the same attack. Quote, with God's help, Andrew has battled back from the edge of death, Trump said. He's got a little work to do, but he's doing great. Yeah, there's a lot of people that didn't think he was going to survive. The man suspected of attacking them was an Afghan national who was led in the country after former President Joe Biden, Mr. President Otto Penn, withdrew American forces from Afghanistan. Remember on the podcast, we said that there were going to be repercussions to how we did that, and that was just one of those. Well, Scott Ruskin, a U.S. Coast Guard rescue swimmer who saved 165 people during the deadly floods in Texas in July of 2025, was awarded the Legion of Merit, a military decoration recognizing outstanding service. Yeah, he saved 165 people. It was Scott's first ever rescue mission, Trump said. People watched Scott from a distance, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. Trump also announced that he will award the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the top honor for a civilian, Connor Hellebuck, the goalie for the Olympic gold medal winning U.S. men's hockey team. During the team's 2-1 overtime victory over Canada in the final, Hellebuck recorded 41 saves, including a crucial third period stop that just preserved the victory. I mean, and that it was if you haven't seen that, you should watch that game, even if you're not a big hockey fan. That was quite a game. That was quite a save that won. Quote, I've never seen a goaltender play as well as goalie Connor Hellebuck, Trump said. I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor. And Trump said only around 12 other athletes have been given the Medal of Freedom in the past. So kind of some really cool stuff. I think we're gonna cover this week a little bit about what also went on during that speech. But I kind of wanted to focus in on some really, really cool stuff here today. Well, Pope Leo has made the news. He urged Catholic priests to resist the growing temptation to rely on artificial intelligence, AI, in their pastoral work, warning that technology can never substitute for lived faith, prayer, and personal encounter. During a meeting with priests in Rome, the Pope emphasized that effective ministry begins with genuine closeness to the people a priest serves, not with shortcuts or prepackaged messages. Drawing on his own experience living in Rome at different points in his life, Leo noted that while the city's streets may look the same, life has changed so much, requiring priests to deeply understand the realities of their communities. Quote, to speak with these people, we must begin by knowing their reality as deeply as possible, is what the Pope said, recalling a recent parish visit to the southern Roman neighborhood of Ostia. The emphasis on personal engagement framed one of the strongest warnings of the address, a direct rejection of AI-generated homilies. Quote, no to homilies prepared with artificial intelligence, Leo said, cautioning that the reliance on AI weakens a priest's intellectual and spiritual life. Like all the muscles in the body, if we do not use them, they die, he explained. The brain needs to be used. Our intelligence must also be exercised. Now, while acknowledging that technology can serve practical purposes, the Pope stressed that preaching is fundamentally an act of witness, something AI cannot replicate. He says, to give a true homily is to share faith. He said artificial intelligence will never be able to share faith. Those remarks are consistent with the warnings Leo delivered earlier in his pontificate, in his first major address as Pope, he cautioned against allowing emerging technologies to replace moral responsibility, saying the invocation must remain at the service of the human person and never displace conscience or judgment. In a subsequent Vatican address on technology and ethics, Leo warned that AI can create the illusion of wisdom without understanding, noting that no machine can bear moral responsibility and no algorithm can replace the formation of the heart. That concern resurfaced as Pope turned to the broader digital culture, particularly social media. Leo cautioned priests against the illusion that online popularity measured in likes or followers constitutes authentic uh, uh, evangelicalism. And he said, quote, an illusion on the internet, on TikTok, he said, is to believe one is truly giving oneself in pursuant of visibility. It is not you. If we are not transmitting the message of Jesus Christ, perhaps we are mistaken. Instead, the Pope underscored the necessity of a disciplined prayer life, warning against treating prayer as a mere routine rather than time, genuinely spent with God. Only a life authentically rooted in the Lord, he said, allows priests to offer something real and lasting to their communities. The remarks built on repeated statements Leo has made about AI since shortly after his election. In a message to the Builders AI Forum 2025, he argued that AI development has development been grounded in respect for human dignity and justice, and that technology must reflect the design of God, the Creator, and that the question is not merely what AI can do, but who we are becoming through the technologies we build. His broader caution about the digital age extends beyond clergy and developers, but to all believers and society at large. In a 2026 message for the World Day of Societal Communications, the Pope underscored, I didn't even know there was a World Day of Social Communications, but anyway, the Pope underscored that digital technologies, including AI systems, capable of stimulating voices and faces, risk altering essential dimensions of human communication and identity. Preserving human faces and voices, he said, means preserving this mark, this indelible reflection of God's love. Taken together, the remarks reflect a defining theme of Leo XIV's pontificate, a cautious approach to technological power, paired with a firm insistence on human presence, moral responsibility, and personal encounter. As AI continues to spread into creative, professional, and even religious spaces, the Pope's message draws a clear boundary between tools that assist ministry and practices that hollow it out. And I will say, yeah, I mean, I don't think pastors or anyone should be using AI to prepare their messages. That's just not good. I think back to when we made a podcast where we tried AI to write the podcast for us, and it just was terrible. And but it was I wanted to show what that it's not necessarily a good thing in all cases. But what I will say is, let's not shy away from technology. I can think of how the church used the brand new technology of electricity to draw people to church and have evening services and things that brought more people to the Lord. So again, let's not shy away from technology, but let's make sure that we use it wisely. Well, we spoke a little earlier about that U.S. hockey team, and and it's kind of funny because for a brief moment, it felt like the country was coming together and was all rooting for the same team here, and how people were feeling very, very good, very patriotic about what had happened. But someone grabbed the Zamboni, because there is a meltdown happening right now on social media over the United States Olympic men's hockey team. Quote, "It's a effing scary time on hockey Twitter right now," is what one user posted on X after putting an entire article about their disgust with the men's team. Yeah. Yeah, the team that should be universally celebrated for winning the U.S. A gold medal in men's hockey. Instead, they're being torn apart by people on the left who expected a group of jocks 10 bottles of booze deep in the locker room after making history to stand up to President Donald Trump for cracking a joke about the women's hockey team. Yeah. Quote, "I will actually never look at those men the same ever again," another person said on X. "The U.S. women's hockey team deserve an apology for so much more." Well, the men's team immediately celebrated the women's accomplishments after their own overtime gold medal match. Jack Hughes, the gold medal scorer, the golden goal scorer, I guess you could call him, said the first thing he thought about moments after scoring the winning goal was Megan Keller, who had scored the winning goal for the women's team. And during the locker room celebration, the men's team can be heard yelling, "2 for 2, 2 for 2," meaning the golden hockey sweep, which marked the first time ever the men's and women's team brought home the top Olympic prize. Still, the hate is piling on because the men accepted the president's invitation to the State of the Union on Tuesday in Washington, something most would call a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, of course. However, Greg Cote, I guess, host of the Dan Batard, I guess is how you pronounce that show. I've not heard it, sorry, but he couldn't find the back of the mile-long net called the men's hockey team a willing pawn for attending the Tuesday State of the Union. Quote, "As long as the players realize that this is an immensely unpopular president with half the nation going to this to serve as a willing pawn, it's controversial," is what Coates said on Tuesday. Yeah, never heard of you. The women's team declined to go, stating prior commitments. Quote, "We are sincerely grateful for the invitation extended to our gold medal winning U.S. women's hockey team and deeply appreciate the recognition of their extraordinary achievement." That's what the U.S. hockey spokesperson said to NBC News. There are people online comparing the men's hockey team to January 6 rioters for not denouncing what most consider a joke in real time during a celebrity beer pong game. "It's so crazy to be so disrespectful of women's sports when your mom is literally a pioneer for women's hockey," another person said. See, Ellen Hughes, who worked with the Olympic women's team, is a medal winner herself, and was asked about the phone call with the men's team on Tuesday morning, and simply called for unity and said, "At the end of the day, it's just about the country," Hughes said. "I think the moment that these players, both the men and the women, can bring so much unity to a group and to a country, people that cheered on that don't watch hockey. People that have politics on one side or on the other side, that's all both teams care about." So, yeah, that's something that you should be able to just get behind and be patriotic about. Yeah, it doesn't seem like everybody can. Well, let's finish up with really a feel-good story. And it's a viral video. You may have seen it, of a bully baby monkey clinging to a stuffed orangutan at a Japanese zoo. And it led to the IKEA toy selling out online and fetching some big bucks on eBay. Punch, a 7-month-old macaw, was abandoned after his birth and is being raised by keepers at the Ichikawa City Zoo, who gave him the IKEA stuffed orangutan to cling to for security. And the viral video shared online last week showed Punch clinging to the stuffed toy after he was dragged in circles by an adult member of the zoo troupe. And the video made Punch a viral star, with some viewers raising concerns about the monkey's loneliness and safety. But the zoo is saying, hey, this is a thing called scolding, and it happens, quite often. But everything is okay. And Punch's popularity, which caused a surge in visitors to the zoo in the days after the video was posted, also extended to the toy orangutan. The stuffed animal sells for $19.99, and it just quickly sold out in the U.S., Japan, South Korea. I mean, everywhere. You just can't get it. In fact, eBay, I've seen prices as high as like $300 for this thing. So anyway, kind of cute. If you haven't seen the pictures of it and everything, you might want to go do that, because it is heartwarming. And I would love to hear what you think of the stories of the week. Maybe we left some off you thought maybe we should have covered, and we would love to hear from you about it. So you can always do that at uncommonsensepodcast.com. And thank you for listening.
This podcast is a production of Organite Communications.